It's Books and Big Hair, or India Hill Brown, and today I'm coming at you to tell you everything about my debut novel, The Forgotten Girl. I just want to come on here and make a video dedicated to my debut novel, The Forgotten Girl. I've talked about the different stages of writing this novel, the book deal, everything like that, but I feel like I don't have like one video where all of the information is like there, and I just wanted a place where people who are like just finding my channel can just kind of know everything about the journey of writing The Forgotten Girl, and also how The Forgotten Girl came to be, inspiration behind The Forgotten Girl, everything like that. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. The first thing I want to say, which is super exciting, is that The Forgotten Girl is available for pre-order right now everywhere. Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, IndieBound, Walmart, wherever you want to go to get The Forgotten Girl, it is available for pre-order right now. I've left the link in the bio so you can choose whichever retailer that you would like. You can just go ahead and pre-order it and not even worry about it anymore, and it can show up on your doorstep on November 5th. So I think I'm going to start by telling you what The Forgotten Girl is about. So, The Forgotten Girl is a middle grade novel coming with Scholastic on November 5th, 2019. It follows the story of two best friends, and they're also neighbors, Iris and Daniel. They are 12, about to be 13. Iris and Daniel both recognize Iris as the brave friend of the two. She's the one that wants to explore her neighborhood during the first snow of the season. Iris loves snow. Then we have Daniel. He's a little bit more cautious. He's kind of like the voice of reason in the friendship, but almost to a fault. All he wants to do is follow the rules and be safe. We open the story with Iris trying to sneak out after dark, after her parents and her little sister are asleep. She wants to explore the first snow of the season. She loves snow, and this book takes place in North Carolina, so it snows, but it doesn't snow that much, so she definitely wants to take advantage of it. She goes to her window and makes the flashlight signal to her friend Daniel, and he decides to come outside. They go to a small clearing that's in their neighborhood, and they're playing, and they stumble upon a grave marker. So this freaks them out because the girl whose grave marker it is, Avery Moore, they can tell that she was around their age when she died. So this kind of freaks them out. It kind of takes them out of the mood. They go back to their houses, and Iris has this feeling that something followed her there. Meanwhile, at school, Iris is feeling forgotten a lot. She is involved in a lot of different things, and she's having a little bit of a hard time adjusting from 5th grade to 6th grade. In the 5th grade, nobody kind of cared about things like skin color and stuff like that. In the 6th grade, she definitely feels like she's being outcasted because of the color of her skin. When she participates in certain things, certain clubs that she goes to, when they have public appearances, the leaders of said clubs forget to tell her about it. So she's kind of getting fed up. Her mother is getting fed up. Iris is feeling discouraged. She's feeling forgotten. Iris and Daniel are still very curious. They want to learn more. Who is this girl? They decide to do a school project, and through that they realize that this isn't just an abandoned grave. It's an old abandoned segregated graveyard. And from there they awaken Avery the ghost. So they end up summoning Avery, and although Iris and Daniel are fighting to get recognition for Iris for their school project, and just because of their curiosity and empathy for her, Avery is not happy about the situation. She feels like they are not moving fast enough. She wants her recognition right now. She has a way to get it, and it's not the best way. Daniel is completely skeptical about the entire thing. Iris is skeptical, but at the same time she can relate to her because Avery wants to be remembered just like she does. We don't know if Avery's intentions are actually good, if she's just trying to bring recognition to herself, or is there something else involved. So that is, I think, all I can tell you about the story. This is so weird, like talking about your own book, because I feel like I want to tell the whole thing, but obviously I can't. So that is what The Forgotten Girl is about. I personally call it a story of friendship, forgiveness, and bridging the gap. I feel like those are 3 themes that are really big in this story. Of course, it definitely is creepy. It definitely is scary. But I feel like the heart of it is also friendship, forgiveness, and bridging the gap. So let's get into inspiration for The Forgotten Girl. I'm from South Carolina. My late great aunt and my late uncle, that I've never met either one of them because they passed away before I was born. But my grandmother, she always takes us to visit them. And growing up, she would always say, when she was younger, this side of the cemetery was only for black people and the other side was only for white people. she said that that side, the side that my late great aunt and uncle were buried, it was starting to get run down. The white side of the cemetery was clean. So when you're driving out of the cemetery, you can see the cemetery where it's like the whites only side. You can just tell that there is a difference. Now granted, over the years I have been cleaning up. I actually go more in depth about who cleaned it up and who decided to clean it up in my author's note in my book. But yeah, to make a long story short, they did over time clean it up, and it definitely looks a lot better now. But growing up, my grandmother would always just tell me that, and it always stuck with me because of course growing up in South Carolina, in Columbia, the Confederate flag was literally 10 minutes away from my house on top of the state house when I was little. So of course we learned about slavery, segregation, stuff like that, but it just never really occurred to me as a child that cemeteries were segregated. I always was like, this needs to be a story to bring like recognition to segregated and abandoned cemeteries around the US. There are a lot that are still abandoned. They're still working to recover them. I always wanted to do something about it, but I always would kind of like count myself out because growing up, and even still now, I am a bit of a scaredy cat. Like, people know this about me. There are a lot of scary movies that I absolutely will not watch, and the ones that I do watch, I do like kind of get really into them, like screaming, yelling, all that kind of stuff. But I do occasionally read the scary novel. I just love the suspense behind it. When I was younger though, I read a lot of Goosebumps, and I read scary stories to tell in the dark and stuff like that. I used to love the feeling of being able to complete a Goosebumps novel or complete scary stories to tell in the dark. So I'm hoping that like a kid will pick this up and think that it's about to be so scary, and then they finish it and they're like, wow, I read a scary story, like I feel proud of myself. Like, if you know any kids that are super frightened and they want to feel like the accomplishment of reading a scary story, give them this book. You know that I think it was in 2016 I went to this aspiring authors workshop with a lot of different authors. Maggie Stiefvater, the author of The Raven Boys, was there, and when I read The Raven Boys, I thought it was so creepy and atmospheric. So when we went to the aspiring workshop, she was one of the authors there, and I remember telling her that, and I was saying like, I would love to write a scary story like that, but I am just so easily frightened. And she told me that a person that is easily frightened can write the best scary story because their mind is already going places where other people's aren't. Like, basically your imagination is really big if you're an easily frightened person because you're imagining all these different possibilities. I took that tidbit, put it in my pocket, saved it for later, and it's all like so ironic to me now because The Raven Boys is a scholastic novel. So fast forward, in 2016 I moved to New York City. I experienced my first couple of blizzards. Of course, New York is just cold and just blizzardy and stuff in the wintertime. I went to ask my husband, then boyfriend, do you think that I can write a scary story? And then he was like, why not? And I was like, yeah, why not? So I set out to write The Forgotten Girl. Iris and Daniel are based off of my two cousins, Livia and Antonio. If you open the dedication to The Forgotten Girl, it says for Liv and Tony. That's who I dedicated it to. They're both 12. It's very loosely based. I kind of had their kind of relationship to each other in mind as I wrote The Forgotten Girl, but Iris and Daniel are just best friends. Liv and Tony are cousins. While I was writing this book, I moved from New York to South Carolina. Then I moved from South Carolina to North Carolina because in the span of all this, I changed jobs. So I changed from working at HBO to another remote job. And then I was planning a wedding because me and my husband had just got engaged before we left New York. So we were planning the wedding. It was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. I'm always going to remember that I wrote The Forgotten Girl while I was planning my wedding, while all this stuff was going on with my job, and when I moved back to the Carolinas from New York. Like, I'm just always going to think about that, you know? And the crazy part is I ended up moving to North Carolina, but I set this book in North Carolina before I moved. So a friend of mine asked me, did I have inspiration for the cover of The Forgotten Girl? It varies how much input an author has in their covers. Some authors get a lot of input, some don't get any at all. I knew already that they were going to make Avery the cover person because she is the ghost. So the two things I really wanted, one, I really wanted there to be branches incorporated into it, because I feel like the trees in the story, I feel like they have this presence. They're like kind of watching the things unfold. Trees are referenced a lot in this novel. The trees definitely have a presence, so I definitely wanted branches or something incorporated. And I also wanted the book to be blue, not only because blue is my favorite color, but I wanted it to be clear that this is a ghost story that's really snowy, really icy, a ghost story that takes place in the wintertime. I wanted that to be really clear right when you see the novel, and I think that Maeve nailed it. My cover director, she nailed this cover. I literally screamed when I saw it, like no joke. I really screamed. I really just love the cover. Avery's eyes are so scary. Someone else asked, how long did it take me to write The Forgotten Girl? I actually don't know from start to finish. I would say I started writing it in 2017 and I finished it 2018. I have a few vlogs talking about writing The Forgotten Girl, copy editing it and stuff like that. I will leave the copy editing one here because I think that one's like the most popular, and I will leave the other ones down below. So yes, y'all, The Forgotten Girl is available for pre-order, and I'm so super excited about it. This will be 6 months before The Forgotten Girl comes out on May 5th. So I am celebrating that by giving away one arc of The Forgotten Girl. So I hope you guys are excited to enter. There will be other chances. Make sure that you are following me on Books and Big Hair on Instagram, here on YouTube, and on Twitter, because I will be giving away other copies. I am so sorry, but this is US only. But international subscribers and international readers, I have not forgotten about you. I am going to be doing something later on this year for you guys. So the giveaway is very simple. I will leave the date of the giveaway right here, the last date being the day that the giveaway is closed, and I'll go and announce the winner. All you have to do is be subscribed to my channel, like this video, and comment below and tell me that you're entering the giveaway, and tell me your favorite book that you've read recently, because I'm looking for some new reads. If you've been following me for a long time, or if this is your first time watching me, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. I really and truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. So thank you so much, guys. Enter the giveaway if you want an arc of The Forgotten Girl. And yes, guys, thank you for tuning into my channel, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.